It's round 2 of the Bridgestone Canadian Superbike Championship, and Canada's top riders have made their way from an exhilarating high adrenaline round 1 in Shannonville to the punishing technical layout of Grand Bend Motorplex. In race 1, 3-time Canada Cup champion Ben Young saw his visions of a perfect season go out with a bang as Sam Guérin captured his first ever Pro Superbike victory. What's next? Hopes are high, pressure higher, who can go low and take the win? Let's go racing in Grand Bend. Marshall Ferguson alongside Colin Fraser as we have made it to the beach in Grand Bend. You got to make the trip to the beach in Grand Bend, of course. It is round number 2 of the Bridgestone Canadian Superbike Championship season. It is at Grand Bend Motorplex. It's presented by Southwest Marine Powersports. And of course, race number 1 here in Grand Bend was absolutely crazy, Colin. We had action all over the place.
Well, you're always hoping for an entertaining race, and of course the racers are hoping for not an entertaining race, particularly our points leader, Ben Young, our reigning and 3-time champion, and it was kind of looking like his day for most of the race yesterday.
The Van Dolders home team BMW of Ben Young thought he had this one in the bag, and a little contact sent that hope sideways as he got back on track in third. Stephen Nickerson, the local, just dipped a toe onto the grass, saw his DeWilt Honda go flying off into the infield, and that meant Samuel Guérin, a first-time winner in the GP Bikes Pro Superbike feature class. About 20 minutes ago, Colin, this rolled through. Pouring rain in Grand Bend.
We're near a very big lake here, and we get some bizarre changes in weather. We've been tracking all kinds of storms, and it finally caught up with us.
We'll see who can handle the rain the best. Number 9, Trevor Daly, has been exceptional in the past in the wet conditions, as Chris Pletch and Dylan Bauer, a couple more locals here competing.
Yeah, and we mentioned Trevor Daly. He has been a standout here in the rain. Our last race here a year ago on Sunday in the rain, he was the major factor and the talking point of the whole event.
As we round out the starting grid, Philippe Tagama Blanchette, Ernest Bernhard, who banged with Ben Young in race number 1, and Guillaume Fortin as the now soaking wet technical layout at Grand Bend.
Good news is that Grand Bend drains fairly well. We had a 5-minute warm-up to get acclimatized back on the Bridgestone rain tires for the first official time this season. Last year, of course, we used them frequently, unfortunately, and Trevor Daly was the guy who looked the fastest in that short warm-up. They've had 5 minutes to make adjustments, and here we go.
Let's go down to our Bridgestone pit reporter, Eric Tritko.
Yesterday, we saw Sam Guérin finally take his first win in CSBK racing by forcing Stephen Nickerson into an error late in the race. With that first win monkey off his back, are the floodgates ready to open and more wins ready to come? Speaking of Nickerson, his team worked all night long to put his badly damaged Honda back together again. They had a strong practice this morning. They are out there and ready to go. Also, local David McKay, he made an error early in the race yesterday that took him out of podium contention. He's going to look to make amends for that today. We've had a pop-up storm come through here, and it's thrown everything into chaos. Marshall and Colin, all bets are off of what we're going to see here. We're about ready to go.
Thank you, Eric, as we look to the Apex Cycle starting lights powered by Honda. They're off full throttle in Grand Bend, and look at Jordan Zoke, the veteran, sifting his way through the field. He goes into second position. Out in front, it's Sam Guérin holding on as they tiptoe their way through.
Jordan Zoke making time on traffic like he's on the 401, and it stopped raining and the wind has come up, so we're going to be dealing with some very bizarre track conditions over the course of the 16 shortened laps.
Sam Guérin leads down the back straight. Trevor Daly taking a completely different line, puddle jumping here in Grand Bend. As Zoke, you can see him kind of babying it into the corner. They try to get the speed down through the carousel, as it will be Daly going up into 4th position right now. Ahead of him, Ben Young, then Zoke and Guérin.
Guérin sliding a bit there. Yesterday he was following almost the whole way, only led a little bit of the race and actually almost ran off on the last lap, well in the lead. And now he's feeling out the traction. And of course, he's the guy who's making that tiny, narrow, dry line with those Bridgestone deep groove rain tires, and everybody else is trying to follow that and take advantage of where Guérin's cleared a bit of the track, and Daly is up to third, jamming his way around buddy Ben Young.
There he goes, made the move into third position, had the fastest time in the 5-minute wet warm-up practice, 4 seconds clear of the nearest competitor as Daly again slams on the anchors a little bit later than Jordan Zoke and tightens up to the back of that CKM Kawasaki.
Yeah, you can bet everybody's just feeling their way. Well, everybody except Trevor Daly is feeling their way around the racetrack. Trevor Daly seems to have figured out what's going to work here and is impatient to execute his plan.
As they head towards the back straight once again, we'll see if Daly takes a different line this time. He looks to the outside near those cones on the exit of the corner, and again, he thinks he's found something maybe on the inside here, racing down the straight and jumping through all those puddles. He'll lunge to the inside of Zoke, P2 for Trevor Daly.
Yeah, Zoke left the door open. It's early days, of course, and I look at Young in fourth. He doesn't expect to be fourth, and this is our 4th race of the season, and Ben Young has seen an awful lot of things happen in front of him so far this year, a lot more than anyone expected. And let's go to this replay. Daly takes a completely different line down the back straight, goes all the way to the inside. That wide line that Zoke's on forces you to turn a little early. It's fairly bumpy as you go in, so Daly knows he's in a safe position. Now we go on board with Zoke, and he basically is just falling in behind to pick up the line, and you need to be pretty tight because of the way the puddles work in that part of the track.
Sam Guérin continues to lead, but it's obvious that one-speed Suzuki is the class of the field in the wet here early on. Little wobble from both Guérin and then Daly on the exit of turn number 6.
Our leaders kept their weight square, put the weight through their feet, but now they're thinking about how they got their TC adjusted and maybe making some changes on the back straight.
The one-speed Suzuki of Trevor Daly hunting, sitting in second position. More from Grand Bend when we return. Portions of the Bridgestone Canadian Superbike Championship are brought to you in part by BS Battery, Pace Law Firm's Fallen Rider Support Team, and Southwest Marine and Powersports. Closed captioning for the Bridgestone Canadian Superbike Championship is brought to you in part by AIM Insurance, MotorcycleCourse.com, EBC Brakes and Clutches, and Revs for Rhett. Just a 16-lap race here in Grand Bend through the wet, shortened due to the conditions, but it has only taken a couple of laps for Trevor Daly to work his way through Jordan Zoke and Ben Young. You can see now that Ben Young realizing, well, I'm through to third position and I got to get on the back of that number 9 because he is setting the tone here early on.
Now remember that Guérin and Young are very close leading the points. Daly didn't do our Shannonville opener, so he is very much in the role of spoiler and he can afford to be ambitious. The other two have to think of the points and also the team championship for BMW.
Even looking over his shoulder there, you see Daly checking in on exactly where Ben Young is as they make their way towards the back end of this lap, and Daly hopping all over the place as he and Guérin go to battle. Very similar situation that we had in race 1 with Nickerson in between the two BMWs, but this time it's Daly and it's very different conditions.
And Nickerson's back in 6th. He's battling with fellow Honda rider Pletch, and they have a good pace, but here goes Daly looking on Guérin.
Same move that he tried to execute successfully on Jordan Zoke a few laps ago. This time can't pull it off, but still building speed. Went for a spill actually in this final corner in last year's Superbike race here at Grand Bend. He's through clean and all over the back once again of Guérin.
And that spill you talked about teed up a fantastic finish where Daly was charging into the lead group on the very last lap, and that was Alex Dumas who won that one by inches on the Suzuki. Dumas not competing at this particular round.
All of the riders in this front 3 successfully clear some of the puddles on the inside of turns 2A and 2B. And then Daly will get back on the throttle and start attacking through this section as he's done so well here early on.
Good on the brakes, and you can see the confidence there. He gets his posture set on the bike and is very calm. And look at here, he's trying all kinds of different things in this turn. And oh my goodness.
Daly down the inside, he takes the first position away from Samuel Guérin as it looks like he had a moment of, you always say Colin, maybe shopping, wasn't necessarily intending to make the pass. Well, that one looked like he kind of looked at Sammy and said, door's open, I might as well as well go get this.
So we're almost at halfway, and at halfway you could call it force majeure, so it's time to take the lead, and Ben Young knows this too. He's going to start getting ambitious. Now watch Daly here. He just takes advantage of Guérin coming out a little wide. I think Sam was thinking the track was a little drier out there, but Daly was confident in his traction situation, which may have to do with how he set up his electronics. And don't forget, these guys can adjust on the fly, although I believe it's easier with the BMW than it is with the Suzuki.
So now it is Trevor Daly in first position with Samuel Guérin and Ben Young in behind. It's Chris Pletch in fourth, Jordan Zoke down in fifth, and Stephen Nickerson in sixth.
And those three are battling, so that's a good fight for fourth, but we are focused on the three-bike battle for first.
Out in front again, Young trying to catch up onto the back. The lap time steadily improving. Will there be a dry line that develops as this race goes on?
I think we're going to see it because it's quite windy, and that helps a lot. Sometimes here it stays wet for a long time, but the storm went by, and now we've got the wind instead. Can't really see it. There's just a little bit of dry showing there. And of course, Daly is, I think because of his go-kart and car racing background, he's extremely conscious of keeping the tires in good shape. So if you see Daly looking for puddles, that means there's a dry line.
It is Guérin looking back at Ben Young here as they head on to the back straight. And those two BMW M1000RRs get all over the throttle. Incredible images from the back of the EFC Group BMW.
And you know that our points leader, Ben Young, our reigning champion, is getting soaked right now, right? Because there's basically no fenders, and those big grooved rain tires are just throwing all that water right up in the face of the guy right behind you.
What can Guérin do to try and track down Daly, or is that going to be the job of Ben Young as he looks to the inside? Later on the brakes, Ben Young takes away second position from Guérin.
I knew if we waited long enough, someone would make a conventional on the brakes into the bus stop pass, and it took 2 days, but finally somebody just did a regular pass, not a dive bomb, nothing terrifying, just another Ben Young business as usual professional road racer moment.
So it is Young out in front of Guérin as Daly charging his way through first, and we get a look at the pass here by Ben Young.
You can see he's fully determined to go up the inside. He's not looking around at all. He knows where he's headed. No transfer of interest in his head. Everything's focused on picking up the line. And of course, they're not that far back from the leader. The biggest question when you make that move is, do you have enough dry track?
Again, Daly continues to use a different line down the back straight as Young applying a little bit of pressure here. They head into the carousel on lap number 9 of 16. Beyond the midway point, can Trevor Daly bring it home? We find out as we continue from Grand Bend Motorplex next. Welcome back to Grand Bend Motorplex, everyone. Lap number 10 here in the GP Bikes Pro Superbike feature class as Trevor Daly leads out ahead of Ben Young and Sam Guérin with the puddles trying to evaporate.
Getting some high spots, so that makes it tricky for our leader, Trevor Daly, to find his way through, but he is very good at finding those dry bits of track as he picks up the throttle for the, and oh my goodness, really close call there again for Daly. So he's right at the limits of what the track's capable of providing to those Bridgestone wet tires right now. And of course, if you're Guérin in second, that is a very encouraging moment that maybe the leader is a little overambitious. Remember, right through this section, last race, Guérin was right behind Nickerson, and watch Daly here. Oof. And you can see that because he has his feet on the pegs, has his weight down low, he manages to save it. But again, he may be thinking about where is he adjusted in terms of his traction control and his line choice. Now here you can see some of that dry section starting to come up, and of course places where the tires have been before. The line should be drier, but this section right now is fairly puddled.
Incredible of Daly to pick up the feeling in that rear tire starting to go and find a way to stay on top. You mentioned his karting and car driving experience. Any rodeo experience that we're familiar with after fighting that one back down on the pegs?
Well, the rodeo experience we've witnessed over the years, there's been a fair bit of rodeo, particularly some of our highlight packs have focused on this. And let's have a look at how things are different in the rain. Less top speed, a little less RPM, same gears, but probably lower RPM as the data indicates. But the lean angle, 46 degrees of lean in the rain is still pretty impressive. But notice it's not the same turn. So it has so much to do with confidence. Once you get to the edge of the tire and you know the tire's working, then you use a little bit more. So very much a mindset change in terms of how to get the most out of the bike, and much more of a rider factor than a bike factor, I would say, in the rain, although with the electronics, the bike is still very important.
And Young going through turn 7 there, which in the wet did have his highest lean angle, as now we see the battle for 4th position. Jordan Zoke It's Chris Pletch and Steven Nickerson, who was one of the true stars of race number 1 here in Grand Bend before crashing out, but they're trying to track down the 14-time champion.
Yeah, it's hard not to see this as a bit of a learning opportunity for the 2 Honda riders who've done so well here at the SOAR Regional Series. Jordan Zook probably expecting to be a little closer to the lead and probably would prefer not to have the pressure from the young guns, but of course we remember the late 90s when he was one of the young guns.
It's Pletch and Nickerson, very familiar with battling with each other, but their eyes set forward on the 101 plate of Jordan Zook, making their way to begin lap number 12 for these 3.
And if you're a little bit confused by Nickerson, our almost winner from yesterday, yes, his bike is a different color, so in the midst of rebuilding that bike, and they scrambled to get it together, and good work by those guys. There you can see the puddles are starting to clear a little bit, but on the curbs, you got to be so careful. That was close.
Colin, let's take a look at how Jordan Zook got that 4th place back from Chris Pletch.
So I think Pletch was a little hot, was committed on the outside where it's bumpy, so the entrance takes a little more caution. It's safer, and right here, Jordan sees that Pletch maybe isn't doing exactly what he aimed to do. So Jordan ducks under the puddles. He has good traction, picks up the line on the inside, and he's back to the point, leading the 2 Hondas.
See if he can set the pace for these 2 and whether or not the 2 Hondas can keep up to the Kawasaki of Jordan Zook as they make their way towards the back straight once again. And as you say, a learning opportunity for these 2, but for Nickerson, after the way the race number 1 went, you have to think he just wants to send a message and get past Pletch as quickly as possible.
Yeah, going on board here with Nickerson, getting the spray from the other Honda, and it's worth mentioning that McDonald and McKay are having a very good battle for 7th just behind this group, so lots going on here at Grand Bend in our 4th race of the season.
See Nickerson picking up the power here as Pletch, eyes locked forward. Of course, the clear visor's out with the rain falling in Grand Bend. Get a chance to see a little bit more of the intensity in the eyes of all these riders as back to the front 3 we go. Trevor Daly still leading out in front of Ben Young and Sam Guérin.
And Guérin has picked up the pace a bit, so there's really nothing to choose. And I wonder if Daly's trying to ease the pace a bit, a little easier on the tires. There you can see it's getting a lot drier, and that's going to be helpful. But of course, it gives even more confidence to the guys in 2nd and 3rd. And Guérin won yesterday, and Guérin is certainly within striking distance. Ben Young, I think, needs to get a move on here. If there is a red flag, they will not be restarting it at this point.
That last lap was the first time all 3 of these riders, Daly, Young, and Guérin, were in the 113, so you can definitely see the track drying out, some pace being built into these superbikes as Trevor Daly continues to push the pace and trying to hold off his good friend and highly competitive foe, Ben Young, on the BMW. Portions of the Bridgestone Canadian Superbike Championship are brought to you in part by BS Battery, Pace Law Firm's Fallen Rider Support Team, and Southwest Marine and Powersports. Welcome back to Grand Bend Motorplex. It is lap 14 of 16 in a rain-shortened race here, as it is Trevor Daly still out in front of Ben Young and Samuel Guérin. In race number 1, Guérin got his first ever GP Bikes Pro Superbike feature class victory, and it's Daly, despite having 16 career podiums, trying to get his first feature class victory today as well in the rain.
Coming out of the section that's pretty much one line through the bus stop, we're coming up on some traffic, but the good news is we're going to hit that traffic in an area where it should be relatively easy to get by. Daly's the first guy who's going to get to them, so hopefully he's in a situation where he has his head up and can see what's coming.
Some trouble in race number 1, weaving through the traffic, and we'll see what they do to get past this time as Daly gets on the throttle of the 1-speed Suzuki. Some open air here for Young to try and track him down with the BMW power, and all 3 of these riders taking different lines as they try to pass the back marker.
And we have to see what's going to happen in the carousel, because I thought they'd all get back get by the slower rider on the backstretch, but that didn't pan out. So now we're heading for the bus stop, which is not where you want to counter traffic, and yesterday demonstrated that to Ben Young's disregard.
As the blue flag is out, that's Ernest Bernhard up ahead. So Trevor Daly makes his way through, bit of a tight window, as you say, calling up here at the bus stop, but weaving their way around, and it's even in the dry, very difficult to tiptoe through. Now in the wet and with a back marker, high degree of difficulty for Ben Young and Sam Guérin.
And right where we are now, Young had a real adventure yesterday. Nickerson took advantage, and I think Young is being ultra careful, but Guérin has to be so frustrated right now because it's backing them up and it's helping Daly.
You can see the pace slowing for 2nd and 3rd, Young and Guérin, as Daly happy to try and run away. after weaving his way through the traffic. They'll get on the power once again on the back straight, and surely this has to be where these two BMWs will be able to get into fresh air.
We were here a lap ago, and I thought they'd go whistling by, and Daly made a really smart move going into the bus stop section and got a huge advantage because of it. Now the BMWs are past, but with only a couple of laps, well, basically just over a lap to go, Daly is suddenly in a much stronger position.
Almost a full second faster on lap number 14 was Daly. Now on lap number 15, it looks like he's increased that gap even more as the white flag is out. 1 to go here in Grand Bend.
And what Trevor Daly doesn't know is that decisive move a lap ago in traffic has got him this very big lead given the context of this race. So hopefully he doesn't ride too aggressively, because now Young, who's battling Guérin, remember they're in a points battle for the lead in the chow.
And who's off in the background here? As it looks like Paul McDonald on the Vast Performance BMW goes sliding on his back, and David McKay on the ODH Snow City Honda is down as well.
And that's at the carousel, and those two are racing for position. So it looks like McKay got the spot, and somehow or other McDonald just straight lined here, and I think he maybe wasn't sure of the plan, and then when he got on the brakes, unfortunately he tagged McKay. Now the good news is they didn't hit anything but the ground. Now the battle or the discussion will be to see if you can pick up the bike and get some points, and you know McKay was in a strong fourth in the series, so he's going to want all the points he can get out of his home race.
Disappointing weekend for David McKay, despite his best efforts, as they do pick up the bikes. McDonald making his way slowly back on, but making his way through the final corner and on to victory for the first time in the Pro Superbike feature class. Trevor Daly on the one-speed Suzuki takes it home.
Got to be an emotional victory for a guy who's been a regular in the series, isn't this year, but has lots and lots of races, has won a pro sport bike race, our middleweight division at Shubenacadie, Nova Scotia, but this is his first full-blown 1000cc win. There's his good friend Ben Young. They were Daytona teammates on Suzuki with Bridgestone support. Guérin joining the party. It's a love-in.
It was a great group of three, highly competitive with each other. Guérin getting all the love for his first victory coming just yesterday. Today, it's Trevor Daly's turn. Ben Young slapping the tank of that Suzuki, impressed by Daly's performance.
Very entertaining race, lots going on, and then we look back, we didn't get to see all of this, but Zoke got out ahead of Nickerson and Pletch. That was a great battle. Fortin 7th after a very troubling start to his season with the Ducati. Connor Campbell fighting his way up to 9th. Remember, he's riding with broken ribs.
Entertaining race won by Trevor Daly. Let's hear from him.
Trevor Daly, I guess that's what you call the art of racing in the rain. That was a total domination effort out there from you today.
Yeah, I was stepping on spiders all week to make that make the clouds open there, and you know, same thing happened last year and had some incredible pace, and finally, man, it's been a long time. So my Suzuki GSX-R 1000, you know, worked amazing. We honestly didn't change that much from the dry. We just, you know, kind of learned a little bit from last year. Like I said, one of the rain races. So the Bridgestone tires are incredible.
Congratulations. Go enjoy this one.
Thank you.
A fist pump years in the making for Trevor Daly. He jumps into 5th with the victory, and Ben Young still leading the championship, but just 11 points separate him and Sam Guérin.
Still a good battle between the two BMW riders. Zoke looking more secure in 3rd. Let's see what David McKay can do, bouncing back in Edmonton at our next round, where the Honda rider will be looking to establish that 3rd spot.
One-speed Suzuki on top of the podium in race number 2. It was a weekend of first-time winners. Trevor Daly takes it home on Sunday. Thanks for watching.